Sure.
All right. So I'm I'm not going to be available tomorrow morning, and I can
Yeah,
tell
where are you
you.
flying to?
Oh crap! I wasn't supposed to tell you that I'm leaving my residence because then someone will break into my crib while I'm gone. But
No, you're not flying anywhere. Of course, the two people that watch this channel, right, are the people that sit right next to you in your apartment. Are like, I'm just waiting for Scott to leave his crib, and then I'm gonna break in there, steal his shit.
from the streets, man, you can't like broadcast like information where people know that you're going to be gone. That's
I
what I've
could.
learned in life.
I bet I could. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Well, you
there's meth heads and stuff around here that might me watch, cruising YouTube for anyone who was leaving their house, I suppose. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I bet you probably have like cops that patrol your street. They probably go up and down your street probably like every couple of hours, just checking up
no,
on things. No?
no, I don't think so. Well, maybe I don't. I don't think any people would go up and down. We've had a couple nights where people have been, you know, running up and down the street, and cops have been here trying to find people that are running. But
Okay.
it's not a regular occurrence. I guess we're kind of in this kind of like there's this road that kind of goes north of town, the normal town, and then there's like a road that goes off of that. The one stop sign on that road goes off of that, and it's like the only way into this kind of peninsula that goes, and that's surrounded by a lake. And so it's kind of secluded a bit, but I don't know. I guess people might think that they could kind of drive up the road and then, hey, maybe I'll go this way. I don't know, but yeah, maybe there is. We have a ton of less people than uh, you're in Miami, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
in my Miami
a lot
Beach.
less people than Miami. What is Miami like? Probably what like a 7 million or something like that.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't Miami. It's possible. Let me see. Miami. I always thought it was probably like around 5 or 6. Cleveland's 500,000.
Only
Um,
half? No.
Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, Cleveland is a depressed city. No,
Oh, I suppose.
only people that live in Cleveland are losers. They can't leave. People that
Oh
have
no, there's some great
responsibilities.
people in Cleveland. Come on.
People that have responsibilities and they just can't exit and seek asylum elsewhere. Hence, they look after family or whatever.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, there's half of. I mean, when I say half a million, I mean what's the surrounding Miami plus the surrounding area? Because Miami's half a million.
well, okay. Are you talking about Miami or are you talking about South Florida? South Florida is Dade County, Broward County.
Yeah, so I think of like like in Minnesota, there's the Twin Cities, and Minneapolis and St. Paul, they have pretty respectable populations. But Bloomington, when you add Bloomington, Richfield, and like all the surrounding, areas, it's up in the million range or whatever. So there's
Yeah.
like 2-3 million people down there, and then the 2 or 3 million people in what we call Greater Minnesota, which is the better part of Minnesota, I guess, because it's
Well,
greater.
for Dade County, it's for 2018. They say that it's 2,751,000,
Wow. So
and
quite a
that
bit.
so that's Miami. Fort Lauderdale is like half an hour away. So I'm not even sure what I could look up Fort Lauderdale.
Little podunk Brainerd, Minnesota, where I'm at, made partially famous by the movie Fargo, which was going to be called Brainerd, by the way, the movie Fargo. But
Oh
they
yeah.
thought that Brainerd just did not have the Hollywood feel to it. So um, we're probably sitting around in the city limits of Brainerd, and then Baxter's kind of like our twin city is like probably 20 to 30,000 people, and then I'm guessing in the surrounding areas you add in we're maybe 50,000 or something like that. Um, but we're quite a bit smaller anyway. So there's probably a lot more cops per capita than Miami. So
For Broward County, which is Fort Lauderdale, there's 1.9 million. So yeah, so
so assuming
between
you were going to on a flight tomorrow, where are you going?
I'm going to my favorite city, Toronto.
Up to the Canadians, huh?
I
Pretty
like
close.
Toronto. I want to get a crib up there. So like I'll chill in Miami during the fall and winter, and I'll chill in Toronto during spring and summer. That's the way I want to design my lifestyle.
So you're like a snowbird then. That's what we
Yeah,
call people. They
yeah,
migrate south for the winter and head up north for the summer.
yeah. I like Canadians a lot better than I like Floridians. I can't stand them.
Just come to Minnesota. So are you gonna come to Minnesota for NDC?
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I was in Minneapolis for a wedding. I was in a wedding. It was a it was a black slash African wedding. It was a unique experience. But that was like maybe 6 years ago, maybe. But I don't know. I don't really. If you if you live in any international city like Miami, or I guess like New York or LA or Toronto or Tokyo, like it's hard to like just be, especially if you're like single and you don't have like heavy responsibilities. It's hard to just be in a normal town. Like it might be like cool to get away and have peace of mind for like maybe 3 or 4 days. There's just so much to get into down here. Um, yeah, lifestyle is like sick down here. So
You ever visit small towns at all?
yeah, yeah. There's a town called Broadhead, Wisconsin, which is 45 minutes away from Madison, Wisconsin. It's about 3,000 people. I think they have like a high suicide rate. Um,
That's an
and
odd statistic to love, but yeah.
well, because I have family that's very close friends with a mortician. So
Okay.
yeah. So now I don't know. I was kind of worried the first time I was there because it's like no one there. Of course, I'm like the only minority, and like I didn't realize it was hunting season, so I saw like a whole bunch of like white dudes just walking down the street with their sidearms, and I got scared. You know what I mean? And then someone told me it was hunting season, and they weren't really coming after me or anything like that. I thought word got out that I was in town or something, but yeah, that's
Hey, hey guys, Scott's coming to town. Let's get our Colt 45s going. No,
it's
just kidding.
MAGA country, make our country great again. So
Yeah. I mean, my,
yeah,
my brother went bear hunting up by where I used to live. And I mean, he had a sidearm with him because he was literally afraid that a bear, or not, yeah, like a bear was going to come and get him in the middle of the night when he's moving back from his stand or whatever. And he told me the story. He literally almost shot a cow in the head. Because he
yeah,
was walking down a trail and something was coming up behind him and he turned around and pulled out his gun and it's a cow that was just happened to follow along for whatever reason down the trail he was going. So he was like, yeah, the cow almost bought it that night.
yeah. I wouldn't feel as guilty gunning down a cow. I would feel guilty gunning down a bear or a deer. But cows, I mean, they get slaughtered like I'm sure
Deer,
like
deer
thousands of them
gets
get
deer.
slaughtered
I
every
mean,
day.
deer gets slaughtered all the time, man. It's
Well, you're talking about roadkill, but I'm talking about like it's natural for cows to just be like maimed and quartered. Deers, they're just roadkill. I'm sure that they don't get slaughtered as much as cows do.
well, I
This
mean,
is
there's
just
a
inadvertent.
season because if they were that people would just kill them all the time, but when deer hunting season is going on up here, it's that morning anyways, you can sit outside and you'll hear the gunshots going off wherever you are. It happens. I went deer hunting once, and it was kind of one of these things that I was like, all right, I'm finally going deer hunting. I've known about people that have done deer hunting forever. I'm going to go deer hunting this year. And my dad's gone, and I sat down and I went in this like ravine, and there's this rock, and I sat on it, and there's this like about 10 minutes into the season, it was like there's some deer come across, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got him. I point and I shoot, and boom, and the deer just falls over. And I'm like, well, and then the scope fell off, which is a whole nother ordeal. But it was pretty anticlimactic. It's like, oh, there's the deer died. My son's getting a little upset apparently. So, anyways, it was pretty anticlimactic. So, hey, buddy. Mama, what? Mama, Sorry, this is my son.
We're good. Hi, Sean, son.
He's kind of potty training, so he's kind of naked from waist down. So I'm gonna try to keep that off the YouTube.
Yeah, they're sticklers.
But anyways, yeah. So we went deer hunting that one time, and then cleaning the deer and all that stuff, and the venison meat isn't all that great and stuff, but it's kind of like a way of life up here or whatever. So
I feel guilty for killing a innocent creature.
I feel more guilty for so I shot at a like squirrel when I was younger. I felt really guilty about that because I'm like the deer, at least we're gonna quarter it, we're gonna eat it. I mean it's gonna be eaten. Like, we're not gonna waste that. It's gonna be eaten. Its guts are gonna go to waste, but whatever. But like if you shoot a squirrel or something else that you're not gonna eat, then I feel really, really terrible about it.
Yeah. I don't think.
But I mean, you could say the same thing about cows, though, right? Cows get killed. I'm probably
cows are dumb. Like, I feel like there's nothing going on up there at all. I think they're one of few mammals that just don't think for a living. But I don't know, deer's like, come on, Bambi. You know what I mean?
Oh, geez. So there's cows that probably are as smart or smarter than deer or whatever. But yeah, so there's a Disney movie that makes them out to be better than they are.
I don't think you could teach a cow how to sit or how to move or anything. Like, anyways,
I don't know. There's probably people that have cows that are like, you're totally dead wrong. I love my Bessie. And Bessie is my best friend. But now chickens, they're dumb as hell. Like, they'll do about anything that you want them to do.
I was watching this documentary. They said at any given time, there's approximately 24 billion chickens, and that chickens there's two types. One that like runs around on the farm or whatever, and those cost more. And then you have like these chicken mills where they're like literally just caged up with barely any room.
I was hoping hope to say there's two types of them. They're called original
Popeyes and KFC. No, but they I think between 36 to 41 weeks, they go ahead and slaughter it. Else, because of the amount of hormones, amongst other things, that they pump into these chickens, if they don't slaughter it within that time, they let the chicken live, the chickens have severe like muscular issues.
Yeah,
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, there was a turkey farm or a turkey processing plant, I guess, back where I used to live, and we used to drive by, and they'd come off and the truck, and they'd have these trucks with the turkeys, and they'd take them off, and they would do something to kind of stun them, and they would put them on it. You could see them kind of flowing along the conveyor belt, and that the next step in the whole thing was to just basically chop their heads off or whatever. It's pretty gruesome, I guess. I don't know. This coworker of mine shared with me something once, and it was like, you're gonna never eat meat again after this. And I watched it, and it's like, here's all the slaughterhouses, and when you watch like lambs or cows or something get when it's not in kind of like a humane fashion where it's an immediate death or whatever. Yeah, but there was a scene where they had fish. And it's like this fish getting killed. And it's like, dude, fish get killed here all the time. We live around in Minnesota. We got tons of lakes. And Miami, I'm sure you're near the ocean, so you're hitting, they're bringing in seafood all the time, and fish are really dumb animals. It's
Yeah, I
not
feel sorry for them because they're just gasping for air as they flop around on the concrete. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know. I have a
I
hard.
did feel bad when I was a kid, and I went to my friend's house and we went out fishing, and we came back and they were gutting the fish that we caught, and it was like he's like, oh, here, and he handed me this fish heart was in my hand, and the fish heart was going bloop, bloop. It was the oddest thing. I mean, if you've never experienced that, it's
No,
the bizarrest thing, man.
I can't say that I
I
have.
don't know. I'm bringing up probably all this stuff because I failed hard this week at doing anything useful. But
Oh, you were doing your taxes. That's why.
yeah, oh yeah. Of course, that was my thing. Taxes, and no, yeah, it was. I mean, I worked obviously, and I went to I went to my main job and my second job as a professor, and then. But I mean, I had time last week, and I probably could work on this stuff. I did make some boxes and stuff, but just I mean, I did stuff. I just didn't do what I needed to do for this week, so I feel pretty bad about that. Um, but hey, I mean, it happens. I've got to get on the horse again on that stuff. So, but you were actually doing taxes this week. How'd that go?
I'm still doing it, but I should be done in a couple of days. Um, so like, I'm gonna share my screen real fast. Hold up, how do I do this?
Do we need to cover your tax information here?
No, I don't have any of that up. I get salty because they still tell me I made too much money to take advantage of some deductions, and I'm like, "What are you talking about, man?" So I get annoyed.
You made
I barely
1.3
work, and they still won't. Hold on, what's up?
No, I'm just kidding. That's the population. Is never mind.
Uh, no, I barely work, and they still tell me I make too much money. I'm like, what the? After that. All right. So, anyways, I just cleaned up some UI stuff, and so hit the checkout, and I updated this where now like you just decrement. Before there was like remove. Now it's just a minus sign. It's the same thing if I were to
Is there a way
go
to plus it?
over here. Now that might be a kind of strange. Well, yeah, over here you can plus it, or you can just hit one of these main items right here. And if I wanted to check out, then I need to actually have reflect the actual items that were in the cart. Right now, this is just hard coded, and this is supposed to represent the location of the the sunbather or whatever.
Yeah,
And
in
so
Vatican City with the Pope.
when I hit, it's pretty much a confirmation when they select a payment method, right? And so they select the payment method. When they hit request delivery, then it'll finding a deliverer. You have an opportunity to cancel if you want. And then it says that, it found someone to deliver it for you. You can still cancel, call or message them. Estimated time of arrival, which I thought I brought that out in the middle. And then, your order is on its way, blah, blah. And then they'll get another notification saying the delivery was completed. It charged whatever amount of money to the payment type ID right here. And that's pretty much it. This I'm content with for the most part. And so then let me see if I can hurry up and find it. I know I'm still sharing my screen. There's supposed to be like a Miami boats banner. I don't know how to boat banner rental, something like that. But it was,
You know what you should do is come up to Minnesota in the winter. Do this for fish houses. Fish house.
It was a fish house. It was like an igloo where they carve a hole in the ice and they just grab a stool and sit there.
So sort of, but a lot better than that. So when I was in college at Bemidji State, which is a little north of where I am at, it's pretty close to the Canadian border. In the wintertime, you know, the lake freezes over, and basically there's fish houses out there. There's shacks essentially. People go and they have warmers in them, and they drill holes, and they fish. And we'd have people from foreign countries come over, and they had people come over in the middle of winter, and you know people from maybe lesser advantaged areas would come over, and they'd be like, why do you have your poor living out in these shacks in the middle of the field? And it was totally like, it was completely foreign to the idea that this is just kids from the college that had fish houses out on the lake fishing, and they would go between classes, go out and fish, because Bemidji is literally on a lake. So, but they would only ever see on the website. They'd only ever see the summer pictures, because why would you show the middle of winter on the
Yeah,
lake? So
that's funny. I have a joke, or I have a story that I'm no longer embarrassed of, but like it was something very similar. So you still see my screen, right?
yep, I see the Walking Dead banner going all over Miami Beach.
Yeah. So I know for a fact this is going to be hella expensive.
Oh
Like, I have a feeling this is going to be over $1,000, which I don't think I'm willing to pay $1,000. Um, but
You get someone going like with an ATV across the sand
or a raft,
with a banner or
like
a raft.
find an
Yeah,
immigrant that's on a raft trying to reach it to like the American shores and like just use their raft for
on a
advertising.
cigarette boat or something. Right?
But anyway, I mean, essentially like whatever, like some type of flotation device and throw a banner. It doesn't have to be LCD, but I mean, essentially, I want to take this app, get into the app store, and people download it, and then people get to the point where people are putting in their payment method, and then say, "Hey, thanks for taking the time or interest. This functionality isn't yet finished yet, but we value your input and whatever. I don't know, anything sincere like that." So, anyways, make a long story short, what do I still have left on here? I still have to set up a account, a user account feature on here so that they can register their name, maybe their profile image. They register their payment types, their payment methods. But and
So do you have like a plan for that? Or are you just gonna use standard, Microsoft setup for that, or are you gonna the one thing I've been back and forth about this is using like Auth0 for authentication. I don't know if you've looked at Auth0 at all, but I mean it's a really sweet setup. It's great. I mean, I look at their pricing model, and it's like, if you get locked into them and then end up with a pretty high user base, you could be spending a lot of money with them when you actually need to spend money with them. They're free to start, which is great. You can get like 7,000 active users or something a month for like free, which is awesome.
yeah.
But I know like things like Firebase and other stuff like that have authentication for free. Have you looked at some of that stuff for this?
No, I haven't. The thought process is I'm not going to record any of their payment info at all. Like none of that stuff is going to go over the wire. The only thing I'm going to record is their name and email, and I'm going to record what they had in their cart when they were willing to make a payment, and
Uh,
that's it, because it's still testing the hypothesis. So I haven't really. The only thing I thought about was maybe I think Amazon provides a service where I could just, I don't know if you call it federation or whatever, but you basically, I would assume that probably 2/3 of the people probably have an Amazon account, and so let Amazon handle the transactions, and they're already trusted,
yeah,
right?
it's Amazon Pay or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean,
Yeah,
Burning Tree and Stripe are probably your other ones, but I mean, they're all gonna take a they're all gonna take a chunk of your pie, I suppose. But
yeah, but if Amazon, see, Amazon is
oh my
hella
god,
trusted, and Amazon will they they
sorry.
favor the consumer over the seller, and so like I don't know, if I downloaded some app and the person wasn't that good at UX design, that would lower my trust for that app. But if I see that it's going through Amazon, then I feel a little bit better that Amazon's handling the transaction. At least that's the illusion. So
All
I,
right,
I got it.
give me a second here.
Okay.
I didn't even realize my son was dancing.
Oh no, I'm looking at my desktop. So
Yeah, that was not the least of our. I'm sorry.
no, we're good.
My son was dancing naked in the background.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I apologize. This might been my entire day, really.
No. Well, my desktop has been showing the whole time, so they're
Well,
not
yeah,
gonna.
but my webcam down here. I mean, I see your desktop, but I have my webcam down here.
Oh, okay.
he was dancing on that click clack that I have behind me.
Oh
Sorry,
wow.
man.
Now we're good.
Oh
So,
man,
so
this has been a
I was
day.
gonna say, implement this account thing
Yeah,
right here, and still got to implement search. And I think the highest priority is implementing this account functionalities where they can register their profile and payment types potentially, or let Amazon do it. And then I still have to do the menus or the catalogs for each of these restaurants,
sure.
and that's it. So I mean, I'm pretty content with the progress that I'm making. I'm just
Do you have a so I know I've seen the like client side stuff. Do you have the server side stuff figured out? I mean, all behind this, or is it all
mm,
literally in the client side at this point?
no. I right now I haven't done anything with the server. I kind of want to. I made the decision that I'm going to write the server in Clojure as I learn Clojure. So that's probably going to take me a really long time.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of Twitter stuff around that this week. Among your have you ever coded drunk kind of tweet too. That was interesting.
I have. I
I
mean,
have.
I've only had alcohol in my system.
Yeah, alcohol for sure. I mean, I don't know. I've never
I only had
Minnesota is
alcohol in my
definitely
system.
not legal for marijuana or any other narcotic stuff at this point. They've decriminalized it a bit, and there's some medical stuff that it's legalized for, but I haven't gone down that bridge yet, I guess. But
Um, I was going to say, yeah, I've only had alcohol in my system. One time I live streamed as I was drunk, and I went for like 3 hours. I was in flow.
it's
But
it's it's kind of it's kind of fun, like to kind of to code when you're drunk. I mean, especially if you have people like interacting with you. I suppose it would be really fun, but I don't know. My man alive, my freaking out up there. But anyways, sorry.
no,
My mornings and my evenings are totally like polar opposites. Like, hey, what's up, Scott? And now it's like, hey, in the afternoons. We had a weird day here today. We had snow apocalypse, which ended up to be about an inch of snow that came through. They canceled school all day, so they closed my office at work, and I was like, well, okay, I'm just gonna take the day off then. So hanging with kids all day.
That's cool. That means you have no excuse. You took the day off. You should have.
Yep. Yeah, except for kids, there's like a full-time jobs. Like,
Oh yeah, I wouldn't
you know
know.
how there's all that arguments like, oh, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you have a full-time job. That's true. That's really true. Like really true. Like taking care of kids is a full-time thing. Like it's just constantly like, hey. And I mean, I guess it wouldn't be if you were just like,
hey,
shut up, kids, go away.
Get off the couch while you're dancing naked in front of the webcam.
Yes, exactly. I did not. Suddenly, I'm like looking down at the little square that I have right here, and I see like a little boy's penis. Just, I don't.
YouTube is really going to come down hard.
Yeah, it's all. I know. You have child pornography, dude. You're Scott Nimrod, banned for life.
Oh, don't even associate my name to that.
I just feel so bad. I mean, you may want to just kind of like go and clip that section out, just because. I mean, you don't know. Like, people are really paranoid about. It's a little boy, just who's like, I didn't realize he was back there doing that, but they might just, who knows what they'll do to you because people freaking leak about that stuff nowadays. But
yeah, but I think that I think the actual video just shows my desktop. I don't think it shows
God, I hope so.
Your stuff. Also, too, I'm not trying to have the feds kick down my door.
Yeah. Scott, you showed a Sprite app, and then there was child pornography. Boom, boom, boom. No, I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy. So, anyways, man, it's odd night.
That's about all I have to share. I just want to implement the restaurant menu stuff and implement the account profile, and that'll probably take the restaurant menu a week.
Yeah,
for me to do just 3 of them, and the account will probably take like maybe a couple of days. My minimum quota is still 2 hours, but I think I've averaged probably 3.5 hours a day on average.
Yeah. Well, it should go up with the fact that you're not doing the Amazon stuff anymore. I mean, you might want to consider in the server side stuff on this might take a while. There's a lot of factors there about just getting the orders into your system and pinging someone and all that stuff. I mean, server side, you can fake stuff out all you want, but when you have to deal with the fact that, well, what's wrong with if the network's down or all of that stuff, that stuff takes a while. Yeah. You have to kind of deal with that stuff. Dealing with the app is great, but now, are you on the server side of it? Are you going to do like, are you going to do F# as well?
No, I plan on doing just Clojure. I really want to learn Clojure.
Which is like a JVM thing. So you're going to host that on Amazon, or what are you going to do there?
You could do anything on Azure, right?
Yeah. Do you have it like Azure credits or something? Or
I was going to purchase an MSDN subscription. I think that's like $70 for so many credits each month.
Man, you're just rolling in it then if you can afford that.
$70 a month.
Do they reduce it? It used to be like really expensive to get an MSDN license, but
no, one of my mentors, I chopped it up with him maybe like 3 weeks ago. He's Azure MVP in Tampa, Florida, and he told me, this guy right here told me that $70 a month for MSDN should give me enough Azure credits each month.
Have you thought about trying to hit up the Microsoft had they used to have BizSpark, which was you
They
get a
canceled
bunch of
that.
free stuff. They canceled it, but they replaced it with something with it was like a small business kind of like you. It's just more rigorous, I think, because people were just literally creating LLCs to get free Azure credits, and I have free Azure credits because I have an MSDN license through work. It's kind of it's a bit scary to think like, okay, if I were to end up leaving that, I would have to make up the money that I have in just credits, and it's kind of expensive. Like I've done literally nothing on the website, and I've got like $50 a month has been chewed up just having the website there for 11 days. It's been like $40. So
Yeah, yeah, the other option is just adding another site account to my existing web hosting, whatever. I don't know what jargon y'all techies use for people that do web
I'm not
hosting.
a techie, man. I love coding. I hate tech. I hate IT.
Okay. So so
The
my
worst.
businessbunker.net web domain, I guess I could throw another $35. I think it's $35 every 3 months. And that sounds a lot cheaper than 70 a month for Azure.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
mean, you go with like DigitalOcean or Linode, probably $5 a month for the minimum thing, and figure out the
yeah, but
instances yourself.
I mean, but I need a database server, right? That stuff is going to cost.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so the server part is going to take me a while, on purpose, just because I want to learn Clojure and I want to learn how to wire that up. Of course, if I learn Clojure, which runs on the JVM,
It's a whole
can I
new
even connect
ball
that to
game,
SQL
man.
Server? I can't use SQL Server with
Probably can. There's probably
Clojure
someone who's connected them up.
or with anything that's JVM. Like, do people? I
I
have
mean,
to
do
look
you
on.
need to though? Do you need to?
Well, I mean, I just want to learn Clojure, the programming language. I could continue with my comfort zone, the SQL Server. Like, I don't have
Yeah.
to go MySQL. Like, I just want to learn the programming language. So, SQL Server should be agnostic. You would think.
Yeah, you can figure it out. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's something that you can use anyways. I don't know. They used to say that Microsoft was this kind of like evil empire or whatever, but Oracle is in my opinion is far worse than Microsoft has ever been with stuff.
I never
So
understood
Java,
why. I never understood why Oracle could charge what they charge consistently.
I have no idea, man. Oracle is a pain in the butt and just awful. And
Yeah.
their software sucks, and I hate dealing with Java. So it just might be because I've done everything in a .NET and or C Python JavaScript world where stuff is a lot more open. And Microsoft is as far as people have said like, oh, it's closed and everything. They've gone totally roundhouse, and they're back. They
You didn't
are
you
way
didn't see
open
that
now.
tweet storm that I had. People would say no, they are still closed. You didn't man,
I mean, they're directed.
I had a 3 day long tweet storm on shall learn Clojure or Scala. And I had some people in like Hong Kong and Japan just going in on some people in Europe and America about how it's not truly open source. If
Oh, it's Hong Kong, man.
what's that?
It's Hong Kong where they steal everything in China, man.
Yeah, but these people were reputable. Like they had GitHub accounts. These people like they had a presence on the web. they're just really far from us, right?
Dude, you should just stick with F sharp though. I mean,
I know F
Jet,
sharp now. I mean, I would say that I'm intermediate with F sharp. I'm pretty content.
get the server side down. Like Jet, was it Jet.com got acquired by Walmart for Uber money? They did everything in F sharp. They did.
Oh yeah, well, what you don't know, because I'm kind of connected, is that they're going back to Java.
Boo.
They fired. I'm not sure if I should be saying this. They're
Well,
letting
yeah,
go
but
of their F sharp
what does it
developers.
matter that they got acquired though? Because they started with that, and then if whoever who acquired them wants to say, "Hey, go back to Java and screw yourself over,"
That's what they're doing.
that's what they're doing. Fine, but I mean, they got acquired with F sharp, right? They did something right, got acquired on it.
I would agree.
So go with that, man.
But I've done F sharp on the server,
I mean,
right?
if you want to make money, just go with C sharp. There's lots of
No,
money out there. C sharp, dude. People are clamoring for learning functional. I'm clamoring on learning functional C sharp because I know I can write C sharp.
there's no such thing as functional C sharp.
Yes, there is.
No, there's not.
Yes, there is. It's. Hey, how can you cope with C sharp? How can you cope with functional with C sharp? And
Are
they
you
keep
messing with,
adding stuff.
Are you messing with me right now?
No, I'm not. I'm not joking with you
I'm
at
gonna
all.
take off my retainer.
I literally went to a talk at Code Mash a couple years ago. It was like functional C sharp in depth.
You are messing with me right now.
No, I'm not. It was all about Link, which it's okay. I mean, it was by was it Progress or Kendo? Whoever owns Kendo now. Whoever owns
Kindle
God,
UI.
what's the company?
I thought it was Telerik.
Telerik, but they got bought by Progress.
No progress is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's another conglomerate or whatever. But I mean, it was a talk about C sharp and functional programming, and the thing is I've been digging into that. It's a little difficult. The problem is the language is so verbose that it's really hard to
Yeah,
do.
it's a kitchen sink language,
Yeah,
which is good and bad.
yeah, it's hard to do. Like, I mean, literally, I'll have like result of maybe this thing because I'm trying to be really explicit about what's returned, and it's like that long. It's I mean,
I know.
you
I
look at
wrote
the
one.
page, that long, and it's like it's really hard to justify to people who are operating. It's like, no, this makes sense. Write it in a way where you're explicitly saying what you want, and they're just like, yeah, but like if I write return this and throw exception and
Don't throw
return null, it's this big, and your return statement is this big. Task of result of type maybe type that like
Yeah, you shouldn't go through the trouble. You're
yeah
just going to write hella code to try to do the right thing, and that should let
have
you know that you're using the wrong language.
yeah no I mean it's obvious when you get into it that it's like result of type maybe type blah blah blah, and then you have result, then you have the value dot select dot select dot select blah 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 blah, because you want to use select because link says select and not map. So if you write out the monad, basically map reduce filter functions or whatever in it, you've got like literally select select select, and you go like 3 layers deep to get to what you actually want to modify. It totally makes sense. I mean, when you get down to that level, it makes a lot of sense that at this level I actually have a value right here, a real value, and I have to deal with these other things because that's a reality, or a reality, right? Somebody might have errored out here because this thing is doing a database function or something where something can go wrong, and I need to account for that.
Oh,
And
yeah,
this thing might not exist, and I need to account for that. And this thing, blah blah blah, I might need to account for that. But I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways that you can go with this stuff in it. The problem is when you get normal .NET devs in it who don't like foresee the fact that hey, you need to think about all eventualities. They just are like, huh?
Well, that's specific to C Sharp and Java and Ruby. The
Yeah.
the difference is you can look. All right, we're talking about like safe functions versus methods. You could look at a method in C Sharp and you can observe the method signature, hence the the return type and the argument or the parameters, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that means nothing in object-oriented programming because regardless of that being somewhat of a contract, the return type and the parameters for that given function, aka operation, within the guts of it, that function can reach outside of its scope and modify anything that it wants outside of the scope of that function. It could touch other classes, other objects that have nothing to do with it. It it can do whatever it wants. It has complete control outside the scope, right? And so that's where you have all these side effects coming in, and you have a whole bunch of crap. The
Yeah.
difference is, so when I say that, because you're saying, hold up, you don't know what this could do, right? It could do this, it could do that. And with like C Sharp and Java, that's absolutely right. But in F Sharp, for safe, for pure functions, you can look at the function signature and you don't have to look at how it's implemented.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't have to you don't have to like crawl down the lines of code to try to track where everything is going. The function signature pretty much for a pure function is going to guarantee that here's what you're providing or here's what you're supplying. This is your result. And that's
Yeah.
it. You don't give a damn
There's
about
no
how,
there's no requirement for discipline is the thing, which is a good thing.
well, it is. It's not Haskell.
Yeah, I mean,
So
like,
you can have
but
someone that comes from a C sharp background and they're doing object oriented F sharp. It's totally
yeah,
possible.
yeah, but I mean, to do functional programming in C sharp, you have to have discipline. It's not just like
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
language doesn't enforce it. You have to have discipline to do it, and that's where things fell apart for me. As I try to push at least the project I'm on, I try to push a functional approach to it. Like, hey, try to be explicit about everything you're doing. Like, we do not want to return string
Or
if it can
null.
be null. It's like return maybe string if it can be null, because that actually explicitly says what your intent is. But there's discipline required in that thing. It's not the language isn't going to help me make that happen. It's like you have to, as a programmer, say, I recognize this scenario as being one where maybe is the explicit type that I want to return or option or whatever the nullable type is or whatever. I want to explicitly know that. And this is a situation where explicitly errors will return. So I'm going to use this other type. And then you've got like this, chained big thing, but you have to like explicitly think about that, and you have to there's the language isn't going to help you with it, and it's going to actually make it harder because it's this huge thing. And do you try to explain it to someone, they're just like, this is foreign to me. It's
Yeah.
like, yep, yeah, it is, because we've been all trained to do it this way. And how many errors that you've had. I think, yeah, actually, I think the major problem and a fundamental problem in the industry is that nobody has survived. Not nobody. A lot of people have not survived long enough at a place where they've actually had to deal with a null reference exception.
Yes, they have.
No, they people who get it and have are like senior and have come back and try to push functional programming, they've had to deal with it. But I
You
mean,
saw
people
the
who go around and actually are paid to jump in and be like, they've never had to sit around long enough to actually support software,
to maintain it. They'll-
support it. I mean,
yeah, they said the average the average job at a company for software development, they say it's like 2 years or 2.5
Yeah.
years. Mine is like 2 months.
If you go to 5 years though, if you go to 5 years, you will have had to maintain and it's bad. I mean, like when I wrote software as a junior, I know like now that it was shit or crap. And I know that software, even I wrote a year or two ago, is crap. And I feel really bad about it, but that's where I was at in my process as far as it goes. And I want to make it better, but it's just like if I
tweeted.
left this company, I would never have that experience at all. If I left where I'm at, if I leave where I'm at right now at this point, actually, if I left about maybe 6 months ago, I would never have that experience of being like, "Oh my god, this is crap. Like we need to fix this."
Yeah, well, I mean, I come into gigs and I'll look at the code and I'm like, this is crap. And what I do is, I mean, obviously, I'm talking about 90% of the time, I'm always like cursing someone else, right? Without really understanding the pressure that they were
Yeah,
experiencing and a lot of conversations that I wasn't there to observe. So you have to
yeah.
like kind of consider that.
Scott,
But
I guarantee if you look at my code a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, you're gonna be like, what were you thinking? The thing is I think all of us are really gearing towards like this idea that we want to be better at this. At least
most of us do.
some of us. And I would like to be better. And I'm at a place right now. I mean, honestly, I'm at a place right now where I'm trying to get and I'm really like sitting, thinking every day, like it's it's. I mean, part of it. I mean, I don't even know if I want to discuss this, but it's like I'm at a really hard impasse right now where I'm sitting with software where I'm stuck between a point of being like, I can make this work. I know I can make it work in the way that they think will be good. But it's not going to be good. And I know it's going to not be good. And it's going to break and it's brittle. And then I have this other part out here where there's this ideal where I'm like, I know if I could get it like this, I could probably make it really good. But the difference between that is really big. And I have a 2-week sprint to try to convince people that I can do this. And I'm under extreme pressure to try to figure that out in my head, at least. I don't think anybody's putting that on me, and it's on me. And that's maybe the why I didn't get any of my shit done this week that I should have got done, because I'm sitting here trying to figure out how I can make codes literally like at work. I'm between a place where I'm writing a code between 2 points, right? This point is not ready and is kind of broken, and I get a deliverable and it's broken, and I have to give that deliverable back and it's broken, and I'm between this one that's not reliable and it's partially there and it's not reliable, and I have this part and they're like, this part's broken is what they're focused on, the middle where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, God, I'm like, how can I make, like, we wrote a lot of code to just like complex stuff to make this, not seem broken to you for 6 months. And now the cracks are showing because they're cracks and we know they're there. And I'm trying to figure out the middle point and make it work so that how can I do like literally someone updates this part and I send a sync operation up, and in the meantime they can actually change other things, and at the same time this side's I can't reliably think this side is going to return anything good. And so how do I go back and say this side should actually update to this when the user who I'm caring about, I'm legitimately caring about the engineer at this side who is trying to figure this stuff out, is broken. And I'm just sitting here, I'm literally looking at my monitor all day long and just like, how do I make this work? And if
I'm
I just had a
limited.
picture of Scott Nimrod flexing his muscles, I might figure that out.
I implemented a feature like that a couple months ago. It was a multi-user sync where they within the application, people can work on the same project and push and pull
Yeah.
updates. And it was a legacy application. Legacy as in everything's effed up. And I'm like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to build this feature in isolation, test the hell out of it, and then I'm going to, once it's working in isolation, then I'm going to adapt the application to it. So via messages, right? And yeah, because I can't just add.
No, that makes a total, like, a lot of sense actually to me. Is the idea that you build something over here. Actually, the idea that you build something, then you build something new, and then you replace the old with the new where it makes sense to replace the old with the new, right? And then you keep doing that. Actually, my I had a thing with Dave Rail and Derek Martin are like the other guys I talk to on Thursday mornings, and I mentioned there was this talk I referenced or whatever, and Dave was like, "Hey, that reminded me totally of this thing. Have you ever watched the Holy Grail movies, the Monty Python and the Holy Grail movies?"
No, I haven't.
Is this the swamp castle? And I totally had forgot about the swamp castle. But the idea that, I'll share with you here when I get a second. The swamp castle was like something I completely forgot about. Was this guy who was like, "Hey, I started here way back when, and I built." They said that I couldn't build my castle in a swamp, but I built my swamp castle anyways. And then it sunk into the swamp. So I built another castle, and that sunk into the swamp. And then I built another castle that burned down and then sunk into the swamp. But the fourth castle was strong, and that's what you're going to get, is the strongest castle in the land. And that's kind of what I was. I don't know where I even started with this. My chain of thought.
I don't know either.
Was it?
We were talking about you were working on some type of multi-user sync.
Yeah. The idea that you have to kind of like, hey, solve the problem, throw it out, solve the problem, throw it out, solve the problem. Then you've probably got the problem fairly right as far as it goes. And I shared with it you just look up Swamp Castle and you'll get the clip. But I told Dave that it was a good idea, that, hey, you should just write an entire conference talk about Swamp Castle.
Yeah, I gotta watch the video. That's a video link you sent me, or I gotta look up something.
Yeah, it's real short. It's just like literally the guy's like, they were daft to tell me that I should build my thing on a swamp, but I built it anyways, and and the first one fell into the swamp, but the fourth one was solid. But the idea is, I think the idea is there that, hey, the first 3 or 4 times you get it, the problem is software in general is a swamp, right? You go into it and you're gonna sink probably the first 3 or 4 times you solve it. If you can recognize the fact that that's an actuality, a true thing, that you're not going to write software the first time because your understanding of the requirements change over time, that if you can accept it and throw that stuff away, and say, at this point, we're going to say, let the people go and make versions, throw it away. And it's never a throwaway, right? We say rewrite or throw away, and it's never true.
I've yet to see a prototype that was thrown away.
Yeah, but it's never true, right? You never throw a prototype. It's not like I'm going to throw this away and it's going to take the same amount of time to recreate the better thing. What you're saying when you want to recreate something or throw something away is literally like, I throw this away and I literally copy 75% of it back into what I'm doing. But I do it in a way where I think about the requirements. So the first time I did 100% of it being like, here's my knowledge. Here's my knowledge of the problem. Now you have this much. You can save this much, and you're going to add this much. When you throw this much away and restart over, you're going to start with this and add this. So you're adding an increment, a small increment. And that's what it's like, never, it doesn't mean that if you throw something away, you're going to do 2 years of development again, right? It's, if you throw something away, it's literally, I'm going to copy 50% of it or 80% of it that's right. And I'm going to fix the 20% that's wrong. And during that 20% period where I'm fixing the wrong, you're going to give me new information where I learned something else is wrong. And then I'm going to come back, and now I'm going to have 80% that's right and 20% that's wrong again. I'm going to throw it all out, quote unquote. And really what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy in 80% of it, and I'm going to fix the other 20% to get it to where you're currently at. And eventually, if you keep doing that, throwing out everything, bringing back 80% and building the 20% that you got wrong the first time, like, you're going to get to a good place. And that's where kind of, sorry, I've just gone on this whole diatribe, and I feel like I should be like, we've reached the climax of this argument. But I mean, that's really what it is like, hey, you're going to get software wrong. And we should know that it's wrong. And we should have a system built in place where we say, let's now at this point stop, take what we know is right, what we feel, what we know, what we think, what we've tested is right, and go like that step and bring that forward and say, let's start over on all the other stuff we know is wrong. But what you do is you bring along that stuff that's wrong. And if you keep doing that, what happens is your percentage of the pie that's right gets smaller, right? So you have 100% here. You've got 80% that's right on your first iteration, or maybe 50% that's right on your first iteration. And now you've added this much, 120%, what you had before. So now that's the 100%. But maybe you've only got 52% that's right. Well, you know, you've added a bunch of crap that you don't need.
Yeah, I think the issue is when you because I can't find a better word than evolve, because it's not evolve. When you're building features on top of code that you know is wrong, and the code that's wrong is now the foundation of your system, and that's the part that sucks.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now, is literally, and it's really difficult. And the problem is that the foundation's wrong, but also the dependencies that I'm sitting here waiting on they're not. I think some of them are good. Like there's a piece of it that I like. I really think that these developers that I talk to, they're with the company, they have really strong domain knowledge. There's this talk that I shared with these guys, and I don't know if you should actually listen to a bit of this guy, because he might trigger your thoughts on testing. James Copeland, you ever talk to that guy or look at any of it?
Yeah, I disagree with him on a lot of things.
You should watch more of him.
I have. I turned him off.
No, you should so he, in this video that I watched,
he's like anti-test. He's the complete opposite of what I believe.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is that I've come to believe, okay, see how people who've had experiences kind of tend to believe people that have actually like belief that follow their beliefs. Like,
Confirmation bias.
yeah, exactly. So my feelings on testing, for instance, like I have yet to feel the belief or recognize the belief that unit testing has actually delivered anything to me ever. But I know for 100% fact that my literal act of starting up a program, starting up an application, running it through and recognizing problem, I find all sorts of problems with other people's code that's 100% unit tested. They've gone and unit tested the shite out of it, but they've never literally started up the program and said, what happens if I hit the refresh button right here? Oh, that doesn't work. I mean,
Yeah, but
that's the thing.
my response is that not yet another test to be written?
Yeah, well, it could be
You
for
think that
sure.
you think when an airplane goes down, they say, I knew all this test automation was worthless. No, they say, why did the plane go down? They do root cause analysis. They identify the reason and they add that as part of the regression suite.
But that does not happen in this realm.
It just happened 2 weeks ago with Boeing.
No, I mean it doesn't happen in this realm of software development within insignificant e-commerce.
It doesn't happen with 95% of the companies that are mediocre. I'm willing to
Well,
bet that it does happen with companies that have a strong incentive based on their SLA to me it's common sense. If something that you catch is a bug, you write a test and you incorporate that test into your regression suite. I've interviewed so many people, and for some reason that is rocket science. So it
but
makes sense to me. when NASA launches a rocket and it doesn't work out, root cause analysis, why didn't it work out? And now you have another check item on your checklist. Like, to me,
yeah.
it's common knowledge.
But I
The
mean that the thing is like let's say you never simulated the rocket advance in the first place. And it's really hard to do in NASA rockets to say, hey, let's simulate a real rocket launch. It's really not that difficult to do that when you're sitting down and being like, hey, I hit F5 and suddenly I have pretty much what the user has. And you know what? Let's pretend like I'm the user for 5 minutes and walking through. I'm going to fill this stuff out, not happy path, but real user. Like and literally pay really close attention to what could go wrong.
yeah,
Like I have this thing where like we have a page. Here's an example. We have a page, and at the top there's a name of a project. You can imagine like a system where there's a project and you have a name at the top. And you go to the thing and you start at page X, you move to page Y. And there's the project name there. But literally, I'm on page Y and I hit refresh. The refresh button, the page name goes away. The project name goes away from my header. Why does it do that? But I mean, does it not occur to you that somebody might navigate to that page directly for first of all, or be on that page, something goes wrong and they refresh? I mean, there's something that wrong that could go on that page. And you have to think about it in this like scope of like I'm looking at one thing and pay really close attention to. And I have this phenomenon where I'm going through code, I'm going through my code to look for errors, and I find a bunch of other errors, and I give it to the SQE people we have, and it's like, hey, look, this doesn't look right. Like another thing was we have a drag and drop upload thing in this app I'm working on. They just added this whole thing. Like, guess what? When you drag and drop this file, it will switch to this other view. And immediately, and I don't try to do this. I don't try to do it. Immediately, what happened is I literally went to click on this button that's in it. And because of the way that my mouse moves, I cause a drag event to happen. And the thing goes, and now there's this drag icon, and there's no way to escape from it. It's literally like drop zone, drag. It's like how I mean, I don't know how long they spend on this stuff. I don't know why I find stuff. But it's literally like if you spend some time being like, hey, I'm going to pretend like I'm a user and look for stuff that's wrong, you will find it really, really fast, generally. Every time that I get a bug report from an SQE person and I feel really extremely bad about it. And I don't think people feel extremely bad about that as much as they should. It's not like I feel bad for the SQE person. They're getting paid to find this. I feel bad that I didn't do enough to try to like find that in the first place.
Well, because I mean, you're locked in a certain mindset of solving the problem the way that the requirement says you're supposed to solve it. So
Yeah.
that's understandable. I did have a question though about you're saying that you're working on this syncing functionality.
Yeah.
You have like two external systems, and like both of them are broke or one of them are broke, and no matter how much, no matter regardless of how you integrate it, it's going to not work. Period. And the business like integrated, right? My question is, do 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 you or does your organization practice domain driven design? Because like there are a couple of things that you were saying that, and I can't pull out an example right now, that made me consider like, are you guys really like modeling the 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 various domains in isolation, or are you guys just throwing stuff together and hoping it sticks and just hacking?
I think it's the latter.
Okay.
Honestly, I mean, I think that they had um, what I would call probably the, as far as, I could get in trouble if, I guess, if somebody, because everything is politics in an organization, right? But they had an architect who I feel was like a real good architect, like literally paid attention to this stuff and was like, hey, here's a new practice that I've discovered that is really changing the way that software is built. Let's discover it and stuff. He left, um, which is unfortunate. But
They
no, I mean
you
it's
want to listen
literally
as well?
like a bunch of people in a room. I mean, we're the thing is I'll include myself in this, right? I'm not saying I'm different or anything. We're basically just a bunch of monkeys in a room being like, oh, they said do this direction, let's do this direction and go that route. And it's the thing is that it's not any of our fault. And I think we can all recognize when things go bad and we want to make it better, but there is a bit of this evolutionary, not revolutionary approach that's kind of espoused where, hey, we recognize this is all wrong. Let's not build anything on this. Let's not build anything on this until we can get this built in the right way over here. And so it's the current thing I'm working on. I started the whole approach with being like, actually submitted a poll to our team, being like, hey, what do you think about the nature of this thing? It's the oldest piece of thing we have. Um, do you think that a rewrite of this rewrite, as I've already described, is not a full rewrite? Do you think that a rework of this is an appropriate approach? Um, and do you think and it's necessary, or do you think that we should continue the approach we have, which is basically pile stuff on top of it? And pretty much everybody was like, nope, this is a necessity. But there isn't any sort of recognition that everyone agrees this is a necessity. It's more like, okay, let's hide the fact that we're gonna do this. Like, I don't know. It's really hard to say. The company that I work with, not for, with, is a pretty good company though. I mean, overall, if you think about them in terms of their their prowess compared to, let's say, like an insurance company or something like that, um, like an old school insurance company, like it's not like they're like, hey, you must use .NET 4.5 and you must, you know, follow these particular arcane practices. They're a pretty progressive company overall.
Yeah.
Um, it's just it's really hard to, I don't know, for me as someone who cares I mean, I considerably about what I put out as a person. And I don't want to continue on building new features on something where I feel like the foundation is rocky. And I'm sitting between this hard place where I'm so here's my we'll get into the whole bit of it is that I literally sit and look at my monitor going, okay, I can succeed as someone who agrees with everyone, is really positive and goes this direction when I know it's wrong or isn't going to be as good. Um, and that's the way I need to maintain a good like career, quote unquote, or whatever. Or I can go this other direction. It's going to take me a really long time, and I have to sit back and be like, man, just ignore me for today and stand up. And I can't get by with it really for too long. And I'm going to have to try to just get to point X. I don't know. I'm at this like really like mental impasse with the whole thing, and it's causing me lots and lots and lots of like anguish and heartache and literally sitting at my desk staring at my screen being like, why am I doing this
I had a
at all?
conversation with someone, with a YouTuber earlier today that was pretty much uttering the same thing. And like, he has responsibility for his family, so it's not just easy like it is for me to like just walk away and like, F this. You guys don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna help someone that actually values my experience and lessons learned from doing things that you guys are trying to do that I already did wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
And I don't hold on a second.
he wants to tap out.
I don't want to make it sound like people don't know what they're doing. Like I think they know what they're doing as much as I knew what I was doing 5 months ago. I was not doing what I know now. The thing is, I've learned a lot, and they have too. It's like it's not like people are like. The thing is, the real thing is like I believe that everybody who's doing this is really trying their best,
Hold on for
right?
1 second, man. My phone is ringing off the hook.
Yeah, hopefully nothing's wrong. But I mean, I feel people are doing their best, and I think that they're trying their hardest, and I do the same thing. I mess up all the time. I write crappy code all the time, and I'm learning things constantly. And it's not them at all. It's just attitude. They're kind of it's more the like the idea that they're okay with kind of
Hold on one
continuing on trying to
second.
evolve it.
I'm live streaming a video, sweetheart. Can I please call you back?
Hi, sweetheart.
Sean says hi. Sean, the person I do a mastermind with, that I said that I can't do it tomorrow morning, so I'm going to try to do it with this evening. Remember that conversation? No, I told you. Uh-huh. Bye.
Sorry, this has kind of dragged on pretty long, but
She called me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She thought I was cheating on her.
damn.
Yeah.
Cheating
But
on me. You're cheating with me, man.
yeah, I'm freaking recording YouTube live talking about freaking beach delivery apps and yeah.
Yeah.
Now she's apologetic.
She's gonna watch you. She'll know what you're up to, I suppose.
Well, she knows that my bedtime is well, during spring and summer it's 9:30, during fall and winter it's 8. She knows I'm very structured, and she knows, like a dog, I have a routine. And so
Yeah.
when she sees something that's out of pattern, then she gets in her head.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, sorry. I've been kind of going just way off the ball here, but I don't know. I'm just maybe it's because I've had a couple beers tonight and just being like, I don't know.
No, we're good. Yeah, I'm not sure if you asked, but like, are you familiar with like domain driven design?
I've heard it about it many. I mean, like Dave, who like I talked to, and actually, I mean Derek too. They're like heavy into it. And I know it
Yeah,
changed their like lives
mine too.
crazy. And yeah, I mean, everyone I've ever talked to is like, oh yeah, that's that's the route. And I guess I haven't like looked at it. No, I mean I haven't looked at it enough where I could feel like, oh yeah, DDD other than a bra size is something that I understand.
So here's
Uh,
the thing: is the like a lot of things, the more you learn about something that you just never considered, that's just eye opening. And you're like, how did I not know about this? The more angry you become when you see people that aren't leveraging it, right?
mhm.
So yeah.
So here's something that James Copland talked about.
Oh God. I don't.
That he quoted from a guy named Jess Watson from Amazon, and maybe it falls into this, but the idea that people who know software development without understanding a deep domain knowledge are increasingly becoming worthless. What do you think about that?
That's probably the only statement I agree with. Um,
But I mean, doesn't that kill your bread and butter though?
no, no. I think that if you're not, to me, that translates as if you're not understanding the actual business domain, then you're not modeling the software after the business, right? If you're not modeling the software after the business, then what code are you really doing? Like, what code is the business really running on if the software is not modeled after it? And that might be a rhetorical question, but yeah, I agree with it. You, I agree with it. That makes sense to me.
I mean, but the I think the whole point of, I mean, the whole logical argument that you can get from that situation is that you must spend time with the business ahead of time before you really start writing effective code for them.
Uh, well,
I mean, it's kind of a
I agree that you should. I agree that there should be some type of requirements, and that you should be able to quickly whip up a model. Maybe it takes a day, maybe it takes 3 or 4 days. When I say a model, I don't mean like uh, actual code that has if statements and stuff like that. I'm talking about like a type system or a class model. I'm not into class models, but you basically have your type relationships, okay? And then you go to the business and say, if you're doing this with functional programming, this is a lot easier, right? Because all this can go into like 1 or 2 files versus like Java or C# where you have like 30 files per class.
yeah,
Anyway, you say, hey, this is based on the requirements. This is the model that I derived from those requirements. And especially in F#, like it's so clear, and they'll hence the definition, the type definitions or the function type definitions.
yeah.
Like, yeah, or they say, oh no, you didn't consider this case over here. So I think that you have to get feedback from the business. That part I agree with. Do I think that the business should hold your hand? No, but I think that you should. When the difference between where I'm at right now in my maturity versus a lot of other people, I don't know how to frame that in a humble way, is that I don't have to write working software in order to test out my thoughts or my hypothesis. I can just write out a whole bunch of types, a whole bunch of discriminated unions that reflects the different choices that a type can accommodate, and show the business it, and then they'll say, oh, we didn't consider that, or oh, but we're also going to have this part as well, and it's just very quick. And
Yeah.
then once you get all this stuff, and then what I usually do is I'll have a suite of automated tests. It could be test skeletons that are just the name of the test that are categorized based on various domains and say, hey, these are all the tests that I considered. Can you review this and let me know if there's anything that I'm missing or anything you would change? I like to put the burden on the business. Business tells me what they want. I code it up within like a, a model, not an app, but a model. Is this pretty much what you were saying? And I keep putting the burden on them. And they say, yeah,
Yeah.
all right, you can't tell me anything now. You said this is what you want. That's it. All right. Now,
Yeah.
of course, it's going to change, but you can't blame me anymore. You agreed on what this was, and the new requirement came where you learned something. You're not going to put that on me. So we're all humans, and that's pretty much it. So that's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've done that a bit before where like I remember one time specifically I like coded up a whole thing like here's the rules that you're asking me to implement and here's the result. So I actually built up a prototype where like inject your particular value here, 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 and the result is this. Is this what you expect? And I mean, it's weird like when they can visualize it and see the result of what they're saying. It's a totally different like experience than just like hey, I'm going to code up this thing and assume it's right because the requirements say it's right and go on to the next thing. And maybe that's where I'm at right now is the fact that I have no feedback loop until somebody actually does something with it. So we write up features, we do them to our best of our ability, and we deliver them, but it's a delivery that's really not a delivery in the sense that anybody's using it in any real aspect. What's happened this week, for instance, is that we've delivered a bunch of code over the last many months, and now they've actually started using the darn thing, and they're like, no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, or we want this better. It's like
Y'all don't have a
use
UX
it, use
designer.
it, use it 5 months ago, and you would have known that these were the issues. And I've known that for a long time. I've been dealing with those. I knew they were the issues. And it's like, I could have told you they were the issues. And I did tell you they were the issues because I felt like it was my professional responsibility to say, this doesn't feel right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time that they give an answer to you is once they realize that they use it and they realize, yep, this isn't right. And it's awful.
You guys don't have a
Um,
UX designer that has like the
No, we have a
wireframes.
big UX designer who doesn't honestly, I feel is entirely based off of opinion half the time. And
I mean,
that's the problem is that um there's things that I look up personally because I care. And I'm like, here's what I would expect in this situation. And you ask them and they're like, no, do it this way. It's like, but I'm literally doing this right now, and this doesn't feel right.
it's happened to me.
They're literally they're 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 envisioning what they think what I'm saying, their brains, and I'm saying no, this is what's happening because I'm actually in the code doing it and running this. And I care about it and I feel as a person that this doesn't feel right. Now, you get these stupid memes out there where it's like, oh, here the programmer designed the UI design or whatever, and they don't know what the shit they're talking about. And yeah, that happens when people don't give a hoot about it. But when you're someone who sits there and literally every aspect of the app where you feel like something's wrong, you care about it, literally down to the what does it feel like when I'm sitting here waiting for something to happen? That's where I'm at, and it's really difficult to deal with that, and I don't know how to deal with it. Is the thing. And it's literally led to a lot of pain and suffering and depression and I don't know, just lots of anguish over the last many months. I really just want to build something that people are just like fucking happy with. Really,
That's a
really happy with. And to know that everyone around me cares as much about the happiness that those people feel as me, where I can sit and go, this doesn't feel right, and I can be like, this doesn't feel right, and somebody explains to me why what I feel doesn't match what other people feel. And that's the kind of people, that's what I would like to do. Is like, this loading sequence doesn't feel right because it switches too fast. And they're like, no, that's okay, because people don't transition their brains this fast enough to deal with this. No, it's just like, don't worry about that. It's an edge case. People don't fucking, no, people care about that a lot. Is the thing, is what's in my brain is that, sorry, I could go off all day about this.
Are you not the lead developer?
I used to be on this, and then I don't know what the hell happened. It's not like anybody told me, hey, you're doing a crappy job or anything like that. It was more like we're going to give this to someone. And, God bless her soul. I actually, I mean, she's really great, and I like her a lot, but she's literally gotten to the point where she doesn't code anymore. She doesn't have the experience of, like, I felt like my position in that thing was to, one, code, two, mentor other people in how to code that, and three, try to understand the requirements and try to impact the requirements. And I think her position is, I'm going to try to impact the requirements. She doesn't code anymore. She doesn't know what it feels like to literally have to deal with this stuff every day.
I feel that way about architects.
And that's kind of what it is. Like, if you're not writing code every day, like, there's no skin in the game. Is the, and maybe that's that video I posted to you earlier, the James Copland. He showed a picture at some point of like, this project is ahead of time and this one is behind. And there's a guy who's obviously like someone who's on the ground doing work, and there's another guy who's like literally a politician. And you get down to it, it's like, who do you think delivered their project 6 months ahead of time? It's the person who looks like they're on the ground doing work. And I mean, that's the thing, is like, I was a lead on this for a while, and then I got basically, I don't know what the hell happened, and I've never recovered from the feeling like I did something completely wrong. I got a really bad person when I started, like an extremely like talk nonsense. I spent months with dealing with that. And I literally was to the point where I'm like, well, maybe it's me. And this was my intellectual honesty on it, was maybe it's me. And so I'm like, let's bring in my other coworker over here and let's have them try this. Because it might be me. It might be my thing. And if we just put this other person in place, they'll handle it. And then that never went away after we realized it wasn't me. It was the other person. And then it became the other person. And then it became, we moved into the next cycle. The new person came in and they were better. And then it became like, oh, I thought you were both this. And then it became, now they're this. And why? Because I probably ask really hard questions, and I don't know. I'm sorry. I'll stop. That's what I'm trying to do, is I get into this, but it's been eating at me for months, and literally like for a while, it's just, it's painful. And I'm sitting there going like, you never told me I was doing a bad job at this. You never said, hey, we want you to be this and not this. It's like, no, this was the onus I took, was like, I'm trying to mentor your full-time employees so that when I get done, they are better off. That's one. And two, I'm trying to build as best software I can, and, fighting back about anything that I feel is outside of what your architect told me was the direction we're heading or the desirable end. And then suddenly, like, I'm just ousted. Like, okay, go back to doing what you're doing and be a good coder, but we don't value you in design discussions anymore. Just be and this is the maybe the place where I'm at is the whole code monkey thing. Is what I always come back to. It's like, hey, I can when I'm motivated, I can dish out a lot of really good code that works. And I know I can because I literally test it as well as I can. And then we get to that point and it's just like now I don't know what the domain model is as far as I don't know what the mental thinking is. And you're finally, some people are finally caught up to my way of thinking like this doesn't work. You need to pick this way or this way because if you want to try to do the intermediate, it's not going to work. And they're like, we'll try to do the intermediate. And now we've realized it doesn't work. It's like,
Oh, I've been through that.
I don't know.
It
Sorry.
sounds like you're on your way out.
I don't know. I feel bad. The thing is the company that I actually work for is really solid. Like,
Hold up. You have to correct that.
okay, no, that's the thing is the company that I actually work for. Now
No,
the company,
you did it again.
sorry, the company that literally signs my paychecks.
No. You
I
said
don't know what the fuck
not
I'm
work
talking about.
for, work with. That's what you
With,
said.
okay, there you go. The company I work with, who is giving me the signed um, services bill invoice payment. No, they're solid though. I mean, they literally care about things like hey, you're exhibiting these signs of this, whatever. Um, I mean, they're really good. They have a focus on the right things. I feel. I mean, they're a solid company. The company that I work that actually pays them, um, they're a good company too. It's just the thing is that they're a public company. Um, they're driven by XYZ. Um, I'm a small fish in a very big pond of feeling like I'm a contractor, but like I've been there longer than a lot of their other contractors and their full-time employees. And I know what it was like before, and I really want to see them succeed. And I I just don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. But the thing is, I don't know if there's a company out there that really fits with my mantras or my feelings about desiring to do well. And the other thing is that I'm not entirely sure that and the intellectually honest approach that I think you and I both have to take with any opinion that we have on this is, are we the ones that are unreasonable? Is this actually better to do it this other way?
Well, there's a difference between being unreasonable versus maintaining standards. I have standards. I would like to say that I'm older, and I would like to say that I've spent probably 15 years effing up code and software. So there's certain belief systems that I have a reason to believe. And no one can argue that I'm not a student for life. No one. Now, you compare that to other people, you compare that to my peers, they go home, they don't think about work, right? I go home, I always think about how I could be better and provide a greater impact. No one can deny that. So, unreasonable? No, I just maintain a high set of standards that people aren't willing to entertain or rise up to. And that's it. I'm not a team player. I've said that openly, right? I'm not here to be anybody's friend. I'm not here to be a team player. I'm here to deliver results because it's what most people have jobs. This is my personal practice. I'm like a doctor. I'm like a lawyer. That's the way I view it. And I don't really make a lot of friends. All my friends that are programmers, I met them on the internet. There's
Yeah,
very few
that's
people
me
that like
too.
me that have worked with me. I can only name two people that they didn't directly work with me, and that's probably a good thing. But we worked at the same company, and like they like me. They text message me every once in a while. They care about how I feel about something. Only two people. Everybody else, I piss off. I've had developers cry in meetings out of frustration as they would lose their temper on me. because I will call them out, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Yeah, I feel like I'm headed down that path. No, I mean, that's the thing is like I feel like I understand that there's value. There's real value in like I don't know. Here's the thing is like so my coworker is asking me because I'm hitting the wall with this whole thing, right? Just hitting the wall real hard. Like I don't know how to solve this problem because I'm in it's between a rock and a hard place is really where I'm at. And it's like, oh, would it be a good idea to pair with someone on this? And it's like, and my intuition is like, no. It's like, no. It's like the real feeling I have deep down inside me is like, no, I don't really. The thing is, I need to think at a really deep level about this. And I don't know how I can. And every pairing experience I've ever had has been more of a mentorship experience and not a pair.
collaboration.
It's not a collaboration. Yes, not exactly everyone. I feel like there's at least a couple people, actually at least one person on my team now who I can really have an honest conversation with. And when I brought things to them, they're like, I don't know what the solution is to this. And that's exactly my conclusion, but it's not an acceptable conclusion, right? And every other scenario I've ever had, and maybe it's just been the weird position I'm in because I mean, you started your probably probably 6, 7 years maybe before I did in your software development journey.
Well, when
Because
I made
you're what?
declaration that I
I'm
would,
about a decade now.
were
So
you talking about like when I made a declaration that I was going to like take this hella seriously?
when did you become a software developer, just in general?
Oh,
Because I mean, it takes a few years into it to realize what you're trying to do.
I interned in two, blah, blah, blah. I interned in 2003. I was hired as a full-time employee in 2007. But like my career or my identity probably didn't really like solidify until I moved to Florida, and that was in I think like 2011 or 2012.
Yeah. So you're at least a few years older than me as far as your like journey goes. You're at least at minimum 2 years, at maximum what? Because mine was 2009, so 2003 you said, so 6 years ahead of me in this whole thing. But there's a real gap in there where I believe that there is like the people that I talk to in the morning, Dave Rail and Derek Martin, they're like the people that really hit their stride at about the time that the bubble burst, right? Like
2000.
2000. And then there was this like huge dip, right, in software development. And then like it finally came out at about 2010, I think, is really when the realization that software development is a thing and it's going to be here for a while kind of hit. And I was just right at the front of that curve. So everybody I've encountered after that curve, where it started on the upswing, most people I've encountered that exist are like after that curve. And so I'm at the front of that, and I'm looking at a lot of people that were behind me and drawing a lot of stuff from them. But I'm like, I was literally like, not a senior developer. I was literally training people, new people, after like 2 years of development on my job. Like, because there's just like everyone else was older and they were senior and they had to do all these other things, and everyone newer was really newer. And so it was like a really tough place where you kind of fell into. So I don't
So,
know.
so here's a question, right? Because I had this revelation yesterday, and I think it makes sense, but like no one would like. I never really considered it, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know if you subscribe to my tweets or whatever, but
Yeah.
I've been seriously questioning .NET. like seriously. And
Yeah.
I'll probably upset a couple people, but like uh, uh, something that I learned is language is powerful, right? Something that I took for granted is language is so powerful that like the more language, the more languages you learn, the the more you can increase your network, right? So me just asking a simple question or making a declaration that I'm going to learn like closure, I get like 10 new followers, right? All of a sudden I have all these people like replying and sending messages back and forth, all these tweet storms that are from a different camp, people that think a little bit differently, right? People that I know I could learn a lot from, right? Now I might be going a little scatterbrained, but I want you to probably consider, and maybe it's nothing, is have you ever considered that maybe if you worked um, in a completely different camp or with different technologies, hence instead of .NET, I don't know if it's, I don't want to say Java because that's probably the same thing, but have you ever considered if you shifted the tools that you used that would favor a particular camp, if that would influence your enjoyment of your career? You're going to be working with people that have a different paradigm. They're going to look at things different, and that's something that I've been questioning. Is I've been working in .NET almost my whole life, and if I start adopting these other tools that have different philosophies, my hypothesis is will my will the experiences of my work life continue in this pattern, or because I choose a different language, all of a sudden I'm choosing different people to work with that have a different perspective depending on the perspective or the philosophy of that language. And so that's something I'm going balls deep in right now. Because I believe that if you choose a language, you're choosing a philosophy. If you choose a philosophy, you're choosing a different camp of people that share that. So what do you
Yeah.
think?
I mean, I don't think so too much. I mean, my first 6 years were actually writing C development, C code
Oh, you're
on an
old.
open VMS system. Um, so it's open VMS, but I mean, it's not open, but it's a completely different paradigm. Some Windows C++ development, um, and then kind of a mix in with like TIBCO and Java and XML transformations, and so it was odd.
Was it still
Um,
being ran by people that knew nothing about development?
oh God, that was well, no. The C stuff, I think they did. I mean,
Okay.
they do. I respect a lot of those people that threw that stuff together highly. The thing is that company grew from where they were to, I mean, a multi-billion-dollar company basically on a single server writing C code for the last X many years. I mean, it's extraordinary, really, what they're able to do. Um, because the thing is that I think that the realization there is that the technology enabled the company, and it wasn't just for the technology's sake, right? And when we had people come in, the deviations I went from that was a lot of it was because they brought people in who learned a technology and didn't really understand the business very well. Like God, there were people that just, I mean, there's someone I really respect who was my manager for a while. I mean, he led the company. I mean, he's been there for ages and just cares deeply about the success of it and celebrates every milestone and just is really into it and understands and talks to everyone from the greeters at every door to the salespeople, and people know him, and it's I mean, they're in tune with it and they know why the technology enables people. And when you brought people in who didn't know those people and didn't talk to those people, that was the deviation from the real respect for, hey, I know what makes this business actually work. Um, and so when I look at the idea of switching from, one technology camp to another, I don't think it's going to matter too much. It might be fun for a while because learning is always fun. I think when I switched from C to C sharp a bit, like there was a huge, I mean, just for going from a procedural to an object oriented was fun. Starting to learn functional from an object oriented approach was fun. Starting to learn different ways of doing things was fun for a while. And the thing is, I think I could switch camps. It will be fun for a while. But I don't know if I'll ever reach that kind of like, I think what I more want to approach is the idea that I made a huge mistake in ever leaving. Like I switched companies for a while where I switched into a place where I was working with a company who was at the dawn of their, like the genesis of their activity. Like, and part of where I'm at now is because I think I realize that is that being at the genesis of a company where you're not writing technology or writing code so much as you're enabling a company to grow. Um,
You're talking about a
it,
startup?
yeah, startup is really where I think where you can become valuable. Where you're writing technology, yes, but you're also contributing back the fact that there is there's a realistic understanding of how technology works and what's capable with it in your brain. And you look at it and say, okay, this is capable and it's not. And it informs them that, hey, you can go X way and you can go Y way, but Z way definitely doesn't work. And then you understand what they're giving you back and say, we want to go this way. You might not agree with it at the time, but the thing is, you're growing that company. And you're growing in knowledge in that industry, stuff like that. And there's tremendous value in that, I think. So I'm wondering if, I don't know, maybe working with a startup, um, something at their genesis would be a better approach for me. I don't know. Um, just because then I'm not dealing with a larger organization that's trying to, I don't know, make money or trying to understand themselves. It's more of a, hey, let's grow together and we value your impact, and um we'll talk to you at your level, and you're like literally when I dealt with this one company as a contractor, it was like, I mean, I there was like two people in the company and I sat and talked with them in a board meeting room. Like it's pretty awesome when you can do that, and understand how you're contributing. So I
You
don't know.
need to,
It's getting pretty late.
yeah, all the more reason for you to hit milestones with your entrepreneurial. I can't say the word. Entrepreneur. I can't say the word. Whatever
Entrepreneurial.
entrepreneurial endeavors.
Yeah. Yeah, that's maybe what I'm trying to capture. I mean, the problem there is that I have such limited time to actually work on it. And when I do, I'm so distraught with my other, this is really the problem with why I didn't get anything. I'm just so distraught with everything else that's going on. Um with my day job stuff, that it's hard to separate that out as a thing. And I don't know, I'm at the point where I literally sit down to write any code and I'm I mean I'm yeah, I mean I literally did it today, and it was like I had to literally sit in my bed for like 20 minutes, like just curled up and take a nap kind of a thing, because it was awful. Like the idea of writing a web API is just killing me. I don't know. Um, the idea of building a game, maybe not so, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Sorry. I've kind of dominated. This has been a total brain dump of things I've been feeling over the week. In short, I got nothing done this week. I really need to figure out. I did try to log into Shopify again, and they said my trial's up. I don't realize it's been 15 days. Probably has been. Probably need to figure that out. I need to figure out a manual thing, but again, my desire to sit down and write any code to do image manipulation has been pretty poor. So,
Do you have any goals for next Friday?
I'm gonna set it as do something where I sit down with Scott and I'm like, I did this and I'm excited about it. That's what I'm gonna set. Is I literally sit down with you and say, I did this thing and I'm excited about it.
All right.
That's what I'm gonna focus on. How about you?
I'm going to I'm going to strive to have one restaurant offering partially done. So maybe Denny's. I'll have a menu of Denny's that they can select. No, with emphasis on partially. That means I have to like probably go through like 20 plus different meals and capture the description, the price, and then integrate that into this app. So I want to have it's not going to be done, but I want to show some progress with the restaurant component of it.
Here's another challenge for you for next week. Then, start this.
Reminding you that I'm going to be in Toronto and Cleveland probably for like.
No, this is super simple. Is start the server side solution if you haven't already. Just start it.
Okay.
Like, literally make the solution or the project or write the first line of give me Denny's and I say okay.
Okay.
That's just a challenge. I mean, you don't have to do it, but
that requires me to learn Clojure in a couple of days.
Well, I mean, that might be as simple as like Google the Hello World Clojure web app and be like API and be like, give me Denny's, and it says, hey,
of hello Denny's.
Give me back the Denny's, and then be like, what's the Grand Slam or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, hey, give me Denny's. Here's your Grand Slam.
Okay.
Is Clojure a server side thing? I don't really think of it as that. I think a client side thing.
There's Clojure and Clojure script.
Okay.
So my understanding is I don't think it is, but something I'm confused about is I thought that all dynamic languages are not compiled languages, but
Python's compiled.
I've heard repeatedly that Clojure is a compiled language that's dynamic. And so I always thought that those were like mutually exclusive. And so I guess
like Python compiles down to like a byte code, and then that byte code's interpreted.
Okay.
So it's like a 2-layer process. Like the first layer is compiled and the second layer is interpreted. I don't know if maybe Clojure is the same way. I don't really know. I mean, Iron Python, I assume, is the same way, right? If you write Iron Python, it's
who writes Iron Python?
What?
Who writes Iron Python?
Well, I'm saying Python for the .NET.
Yeah, I know what it is. Who actually?
Whatever. I'm not saying it's done. I'm saying that.
Okay.
Like, how does that work? It's got to be compiled down to a CLR language first, right? But it's a dynamic language.
On the JVM, I would thought that it would make sense that it gets compiled.
Dude, JVM and .NET are the same thing. You're basically writing F# for the JVM, right? With Clojure.
Well, F# is strongly typed, and Clojure is
dynamically typed. You should really go crazy and write some Elixir, man.
I considered Elixir, but I did consider Elixir. I just don't think it has a strong enough. I have to be careful what words I use or how I frame this. I don't think Elixir is on the verge of taking off yet, like I believe Clojure is.
I don't know. I mean, I look at all the functional language stuff, and F sharp seems the most appealing to me,
Yeah.
just because of the pure thing of the fact that Jet got acquired or whatever by Walmart, and they did their stuff in F sharp. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just wrong about that.
No, I mean, language wise, yeah. This might be a different conversation,
Yeah.
but I just there's been so many like hints that Microsoft is losing market share, and I need to invest in other platforms of delivering uh, applications or systems. So, I mean, I had a recruiter telling me that I've had a lot of people, even some of my mentors, telling me that companies are abandoning Microsoft because it's too expensive, and they're just going straight Java.
Yeah, I don't know why, because Java's see my feeling on it is that Microsoft, other than Azure, is really cheap now, and Java, because of Sun and Oracle, is not only expensive but old.
They're
Now,
both
if you talk about Node, you talk about like Node, well, that I feel like is probably in the cheap realm when you get into JavaScript, but I don't think I think of Java and anything JVM or Java related because of the relationship Oracle has with things.
well.
It's completely flipped.
I think of Java, and I think of like MySQL. No,
Well, MySQL was acquired with their Sun acquisition, as so was Java. Problem is Oracle has taken Java and have basically said we're putting our name on it and stamping it, and you can't touch it. Which is, I mean, they've sued Google and other people about it. Whereas you look over here at Microsoft, they're like, yeah, we're opening up .NET Core, we're making it cross-platform. Why don't you write this stuff to run on Linux? And then it's an open. I mean, you literally can go get .NET Core right now. Go get it. I mean, it's open source, right? I mean, you could run that stuff on Amazon if you don't want to run it on whatever. You can run it on DigitalOcean or Linode, run it in Docker containers, whatever. I don't understand why people are. I don't know. Maybe it's I mean, maybe the people you've talked to, but at least in the Midwest, anyways, .NET's kind of going stronger.
yeah,
Node is definitely take a look at JavaScript, take a look at TypeScript. You want to get into something TypeScript is taking off. Um, and TypeScript has some pretty strong functional constructs in it. You can write server-side software. You can write client-side software with it. You can write pretty much anything in it. So, um, I don't know. Or go way different, man. Totally abandon that stuff. Go C code all the way. C++, man. C++ 11.
I used to be a
Take it
C++
over.
programmer. I don't know how. I honestly don't know how.
Yeah.
I look at that stuff now, and I'm like, I quit.
I could write C code, but I don't think I write C++11. I wouldn't put it on my resume anymore. So, all right. It's
Yeah,
probably what, 11:37 over there. So,
I'm
probably should
tapping
get going.
out. I'm hitting
Yep.
stop broadcast now.